Hello, a quick video here on hints and tips on how to wire UK Irish plug top. These can be problematic and tedious, so a couple of tips I learned along the way over some experience. So I just have this one ready to go here now, so I have some of the work pre-done. First thing I did was get this little white guy here and flip him around. Typically speaking, when it comes out of the factory, this will be the opposite way around, and that's typically for a flat cable or a smaller cable, either. In this case, the cable is bigger, and this will be typically known as a 3-core flex, 1.5 mil. So the cable is that bit bigger, and that's why I take that one around and flip it upside down. That's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is this fuse top here. I just take this out of the way. So I'll leave that over there. And then I actually take him out and I wire him out of the plug top and then put him back in when he's done. And then wind up the terminal, so that's ready to go. And the same for that one, ready to go. I leave it up. And then the same for that one again. And the sequence is live, earth, neutral. The next thing I do is I have them all pre-marked to preset measurements, and this is the template I use. So live is 20 mil, and then the 12 mil then is the bare copper wire. So you've your live, your neutral, and your earth, etc, etc, etc. So that's the template I use. They do come with generic. If you look at the fine print, a lot of these come with generic measurements, which is down here typically speaking, and they'll vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, such as, what I mean by that is this measurement will vary depending on the plug type, and they are only guidelines. They're not always correct or specific or whatever you may choose to say, but these ones I just give them a little bit extra. I especially give this side a little bit extra, because just to make a good contact, which is the most important thing of this whole exercise. If you don't have a bad contact, it can just be dangerous. So this is key. Focus on this, and this should be okay. So they're all pre-marked, as I said, so they're ready to go now. I'll just get my cutters. So snip them away. So this one goes on the line. Brown is done, blue is done, earth is last, and then strip back all the insulation. It's ready to go. Brown next, and then neutral last. And then wind them cores so they're nice and tight. You get good integrity there, as opposed to this. That's just too flimsy. Yeah, that's a good example there. So the tighter you wind the cores, the better the integral connection is on that contact. When you tighten that contact down, as I said, that's the most important, to get a good clamp on them. So tighten it all down. The tighter you go, the better. They're nice and tight now. So now I'll wrap them together and feed it into the sleeve. Clamp that down. I'm not going to go all the way yet. I'm just going to let it move up and down, and then when we're finished, then we can clamp them two down. So that's the first thing there I did with just that clamp. Now I'm going to go for the brown next. So brown, and then flip it over halfway. So that's about 12 mil. So flip it over at 6 mil. No loose strands, so make a nice tight little point together, and then cut this guy. and then tighten them down. Pop them in. And we'll just put this fuse in just to try and hold that in position. So the orientation of that can be any way. And this one is 13 amp, which is standard. And you can reduce that down if you're carrying something of very low amperage, such as Christmas tree lights or something. But in this case, it's general use. So we'll keep the 13 amp in. Typically speaking, on that note, the product will probably specify if it likes to down the amperage. So we're okay with this one. Now that may hold it, and then we'll come back and do all our tightening on the connections later on. It should be okay. Onto the neutral next. Sorry, onto the earth next, sorry. Same again, flip it over halfway. Keep that as tight as possible, tight and flat. Put them in. Same again, I just tighten that down just enough to hold it and come back and read and tighten everything at the end. Okay, that's the earth done. Now, last one is the neutral. Same again, halfway over. Now, a lot of people don't do this half turn. A lot of people just go in which way there. Let's say they cut it there at the 6 mil there. But this would be called best practice. And when you're using lighter cable, i.e. the flat cable, the core size would be typically 0.75 mil, and this would be 1.5 mil. So as you appreciate, this is a little bit more difficult to do the double back, but if you can do it, it is definitely the best practice. So it's a good habit to get into doing this, but as I said, a lot of people don't do it, and it just makes for a better job if you can manage it, that's all. So there you go, that when you see it there, that is definitely a better contact than a single connection. So just tighten that one down now as well. Okay, so that's pretty okay. The next thing I'm going to do is tighten this down now. So okay, so that should be okay, yeah. Ideally speaking, I would reposition these a little bit better. You could even move this back and forth so there's no stress. What I mean by stress is when you're in an acute angle like that, and then it's tapering off, anywhere where the cable is not lying with ease and without ease is a stressor. So the cable is slightly stressed there because again there's acute angle on them 2 points. So ideally they're probably a little bit too long. Again, to show us why this is a tedious exercise and it takes a little bit of practice. So perhaps it's actually good to see it not turning out good, or I should say best as I would hope to do so. So ideally speaking, I would trim them back again, and I might do that now before I actually put this into service. So on that note, I'll leave this now on the video, and thanks for watching, and I hope it's useful to somebody someday.